SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear students, you are welcome in this class. I am Dr. Dinesh Kumar, Principal Scientist from Division of Agronomy, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, Pusa Campus, New Delhi. This lecture pertains to the course Agronomy of Oilseed, Fiber and Sugar Crop. The title of the lecture is Adaptability, Climate, Soil, Growth Stages and Cultural Requirement of Cotton Crop. Learning objectives of this lecture are to get acquainted with the adaptability, climate and soil requirement of cotton crop and to describe different growth stages of cotton crop and also discuss different cultural practices of this crop. Cultural practices will include time of sowing, seed rate, plant spacing, plowing, field preparation, etc. Some difficult words in the form of glossary. Transgenic cotton. Genetically altered recombinant DNA technique to express tolerance to either herbicide or insect pests. Then comes vegetative branch, lateral branch on a cotton plant that does not have a fruit at each node. Fruiting branches, however, can develop into vegetative branches. Now canopy, the foliage of a cotton crop said to be closed when plant growth of adjacent rows closes over and shades row middles. Internode, the portion of the main stem between nodes. In cotton, it is often used as an indicator of growth. Greater internode length indicates faster growth. So most of you know that this is suppose this is stem and this is the nodal part and then another nodal part will be like this. So distance between these two on a stem or branch is your internode space. Lock, the major individual internal section of a cotton ball. Cotton ball is actually fruit in which seed and lint development take place. So seed, I think you understand, and lint is fiber. 4 or sometimes 5 locks per ball are typical in cotton. Node, a point usually along the main stem at which lateral vegetative and fruiting branches arise. So all kind of branches, whether they are fruiting branches, sympodal, or vegetative branches, monopodal, they emerge from the nodal part. Square, this is actually flower bud of a cotton with a central corolla containing the pollen anthers and sepals and surrounded by the 3 or 4 bracts. So square is actually initially a kind of flower which is covered in calyx and it develops into flower and that flower develops into a fruit which is called as ball, B-O-L-L in cotton. Flowering, blooming period of cotton plant. Flowers result from maturing squares. So these squares give out flowers and those flowers will give balls. Once flowers pollinate, ovules develop into cotton fruit or balls. Now let us see the adaptability and climatic requirement of this crop. So what kind of conditions are required, particularly rainfall conditions or temperature relations. So rainfall, latitude and altitude are the dominant factor governing cotton growth and cultivation. Length of the growing season, climatic and soil factor determine the biotic and abiotic stresses, crop duration and ultimately seed cotton yield. Bulk of cotton area is distributed in tropical latitudes. It is already covered. It is also cultivated in temperate climates as far north as 43° north in USSR, 45° north in China, 30° north in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan and some European countries like Turkey and Greece. Its cultivation also extends to the southern hemisphere in South America, Australia and southern half of Africa. So you can see it is being cultivated almost on all the continents except Antarctica. In India, it is grown from 8° north to 32° north latitude and 70° to 97° east longitude, and at an altitude ranging from sea level to 915 meter above the mean sea level. The growing region stretches from the sub-Himalayan region of Punjab to the placid southern tip in Kanyakumari and from arid western district of Kutch to high rainfall hilly regions of Assam. So you can see, except some Himalayan parts at high altitude, all other parts of India, cotton can be grown. Grown over diverse soil and agroclimatic conditions due to morphological plasticity. Here it has got some kind of flexibility in terms of morphological features, particularly the number of leaves or number of balls, and genetic variability in India. It adapts to diverse growing conditions either by shortening or lengthening its flowering period. So it is interesting that it has plasticity mainly because of alterations or changes it can make in its flowering. Vegetative growth gets suppressed under two situations: when plants attain its maximum bole load and when plant experiences stress due to moisture or nutrients. So you can see that it can also change or alter its duration due to some other external reasons also. Plant possesses an auto-regulatory mechanism and sheds balls when plants exceeds its carrying capacity. Plant is sensitive to temperature. Now, climatic requirements of cotton crop: mean annual temperature is greater than 15.5 degrees centigrade. Mean annual rainfall is more than 500 millimeter with good distribution. Abundant sunshine hours are needed, 400 to 500 calorie per centimeter square per day. This is kind of light intensity which is suitable for this crop, and this is needed particularly at ball formation and bursting of the balls. Frost-free period of more than 180 days. This is important. That is why it is not fit for temperate areas or high altitude or Himalayan regions where you have high altitude, because frost can damage this crop. Altitude limit of 900 meter due to its susceptibility to frost. Now you can see cotton growing regions in India. So first see the north zone. It includes Punjab, Haryana, parts of Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, and agroclimatic conditions in zone are semi-arid climate with hot summers and cold winters in northern states. Then most of the region have soils like antizoals, inceptizoals. These are the soils, and whether it is irrigated, 100% hirsutum, arboreum, intra-hirsutum and diploid hybrids. So most of these are the species of the cotton, and it is mostly irrigated in these zones. Next zone is central zone. It includes Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. Agroclimatic conditions are hot, arid, that is dry to semi-arid. Semi-arid means some dry and some moist, to subhumid, that is dry climate. And soils are antisols, inceptisols and vertisols. 23% proportion of area is under hirsutum and intra-hirsutum hybrids, and 23% you can say is irrigated, including hirsutum and intra-hirsutum hybrid. 77% area is rain-fed, and you get herbaceum, arboreum, hirsutum and intra-hirsutum and diploid hybrids. This is characteristics of central zone. Now coming to south zone, it includes Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Agroclimates are hot, arid to semi-arid, moist to subhumid, dry climate with summers. Soils are inceptisols, vertisols and alphisols, and it has about 40% area is irrigated, and Barbadense, intra-hirsutum hybrids, interspecific hybrids are common in this part, and 60% is rain-fed, and it includes species arboreum and intra-hirsutum hybrids and interspecific hybrids. Next is your climatic and soil needs for upland cotton. which is Gossypium hirsutum. This Gossypium hirsutum is also called as American cotton or upland cotton. So, temperature requirement for germination, air temperature. So, optimum is 18 to 30 degrees centigrade air temperature for Gossypium hirsutum. The minimum temperature requirement for germination is 15 degrees centigrade temperature of the air, and maximum tolerable limit is 42 degrees centigrade for germination. This is air temperature. Now, coming to soil temperature for germination, optimum is 33 to 36 degrees centigrade and minimum is 19 degrees centigrade and maximum is 40 degrees centigrade. Now, coming to vegetative growth. Vegetative growth optimum temperature is 21 to 28 degrees centigrade and minimum is 15 degrees centigrade and maximum is 43 degrees centigrade. And for flowering and fruiting, optimum is 22 to 27 degrees centigrade and minimum is 21 degrees centigrade and maximum is 35 degrees centigrade. So, these are the cardinal temperature which are required by this crop at different growth stages. So, you can see that lower limits are quite high, means for example, for vegetative growth lower limit is 15 degrees centigrade, and similarly for germination air temperature has to be 15 degrees centigrade and soil temperature has to be 19 degrees centigrade. So, this point is very, very important. That is why it is not fit for temperate areas. Now, coming to the soil requirement for cotton crop, cotton can be grown on any soil provided water is not limiting factor. So, naturally it needs some quantity of water at every stage of the growth and it cannot be grown successfully without water. However, soils subjected to water logging are not conducive, particularly during the early stages. So, this crop is quite sensitive to the water logging because under water logging conditions there is shortage of oxygen inside the soil and that affects the growth of the roots. Roots may not respire, respiration problem may be there, it is restricted and therefore nutrient uptake and water uptake becomes a problem and further there is no root growth or development. So, therefore, water logging should not be there. Wherever possible, arrangement for drainage should be made. It prefers deep friable soil with good fertility and moisture holding capacity. A mean annual rainfall of 1000 millimeter and soil depth of 60 to 100 centimeter can support a good cotton crop. So, it is always advisable not to grow cotton crop in shallow soils which are very, very shallow because the root growth will be restricted and sometimes there are issues related to nutrient and water availability. Seed cotton yield of a rain-fed crop is a function of soil depth with the best yields on deep, fine textured soils with good structure. So, it needs these kind of soils, slightly say medium to heavy texture soils or fine texture soil with good drainage, good water holding capacity and of course, there has to be good soil structure for this crop. Since cotton is a deep rooted crop, soils with depth less than 60 centimeter are less favorable because of a limited water holding capacity. And not only this, it will also limit the root growth and extension of the roots. The critical limit of available water capacity is 100 millimeter per meter, below which the rain-fed yields are often uneconomical. So, it is really important to understand this fact. A soil with a bulk density of 1.3 to 1.4 megagram per cubic meter favors good root penetration and permits optimum soil water air relations. So, 1.3 to 1.4 megagram per cubic meter means this megagram is equal to 1000 kilogram. So, this has to be 1000 kilogram per cubic meter soil. A groundwater table of below 2 meter is ideal. If it is too shallow, then problem of salt accumulation can also happen and root growth can be limited. Though cotton is tolerant to salinity, the critical soil salinity level above which yield decreases is 7.7 decisiemens per meter. Now, we go to the growth stages of the cotton crop. So, normally as many of you understand that basically there are three important growth phases in any crop. So first is your germination and emergence, and then vegetative phase start, and then reproductive phase starts, and finally it will go to maturity. So these are the important phases: vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and maturation phase. So these phases can be further divided into different stages. And cotton is an indeterminate kind of plant. It has, in most of the time, indeterminate growth habit. Initially, it will go for germination and field emergence will be there when the seedling will come out from the soil. And after this, it will start its growth into the vegetative phase. And vegetative phase will continue branching and this leaf formation. And after certain period of time, there will be formation of squares, and then flowering, and then ball formation, then bursting of balls, and finally it is fully matured crop. So in this case, some of the stages overlap each other. Sometimes this vegetative phase will go with flowering, square formation, and even development of the ball. Even during the development of ball, you can find some vegetative growth, some formation of branches and leaves. Therefore, you need to remember that cotton plant has indeterminate growth habit. So cotton plant has an indeterminate growth habit and sensitive to adverse environmental conditions. The growth of the cotton plant is very predictable under favorable moisture and temperature conditions. Growth follows a well-defined consistent pattern expressed in days. So you can see the different growth stages under three important phases. So planting to emergence, normally it takes 4 to 9 days, sometimes up to 10 days. Emergence to first square means when it has come out from the soil up to the formation of the first square, it takes 27 to 38 days after sowing. And remember that these are very average values. Square to flower formation, 20 to 25 days, and then planting to first flower, 60 to 70 days. So here you can see that emergence to first square and square to flower. See, they are overlapping each other. Then comes planting to first flower, 60 to 70 days, and flower to open ball. It is 45 to 65. So here also you can see these two stages are overlapping each other. Planting to first flower and flower to open ball. And finally planting to harvest ready, 130 to 160 days. So it is basically a longer duration crop. It can go up to 160 days. However, it depends upon climatic conditions and cultural management. So development phases for cotton can be divided into 5 main growth stages that student can remember. Number 1 is germination to emergence. This emergence means field emergence. So germination simply means that the radicle and plumule come out from the soil, come out from the seed when the seed is kept in soil. So it is simply germination. But this seed has to travel the soil where it was sown up to the surface of the soil, and then it will come out from the soil. So coming out of this particular plumule part outside the soil is field emergence. So this is germination to field emergence, then seedling establishment, and then vegetative growth will start, and leaf area and canopy development will happen. It will include branching also. Flowering and ball development, and then maturation. So the transitions between these stages are not always sharp and clear. Definitely they are going to overlap each other. Each stage may also have different physiological processes operating within specific requirements. If producers are aware of these stage-dependent differences in cotton growth and requirements, then many problems in crop management can be avoided. Therefore, the producers or the farmers must have a clear-cut understanding of the different growth stages of cotton, so that management decisions can be taken effectively and one can achieve good growth of the crop, which eventually will result in better yields of this crop. Now, for better understanding, let us concentrate on this picture, please. And you can see on x-axis here, you have days after planting. How many days? Starting from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140 and 160. On y-axis here, this is y-axis, you have numbers per acre into 1000. So let us see the different phases here. The first one from here to here, this range is seedling or root establishment. Then comes during this period leaf expansion and canopy closure, this period. And then comes the third phase, flowering and ball development. Then comes the final phase, ball and fiber maturation. You can also see that these stages from seedling or root establishment to leaf expansion, this is early season. And then in the mid season, you have up to flowering and ball development. And finally, in the late season, you will have ball and fiber maturation. Now come to the lower part. Here you can see the emergence and cotyledon. This is the phase from 0 to, you can say, about 20 days. And at about 30 days, here you will have 30 days. At 30 days, you will have 4 true leaves at this particular point, 4 true leaves. And then at 40 days, you will have 6 to 8 nodes on the stem. And then at this particular point of time, at 40 days after sowing, you will have formation of squares. So squares are actually flower buds. They will give out to the flower. So from here you can see the square number is also increasing, and here it is maximum. You can say somewhere around 80 days or 85 days, you have maximum number of squares in the cotton crop. And then at around 65 or 68 days here, you can see the formation of balls starts. So you can see formation of balls and this square, it is overlapping each other here again. So then the ball number continues to increase and it reaches maximum somewhere here. You can say at 110 days you will have maximum ball number and then it becomes constant. See the case of squares, they continue to increase during this period and they reaches the peak at 80 days and then there is fall, there is decrease in the number of the squares. So some squares will fall from the plant and then the ball formation, and finally at around 100 days there is open balls. Balls starts bursting here or cracks starts there, and at 100 days, and then it continues in a linear fashion. So up to this. So here you get the maturity. So you can just try yourself, try to learn this picture or yourself in detail so that you get more clarity. Now first stage is germination and emergence. So radicle emerges through micropyle. Micropyle is a small hole in the seed, turns downward and grows deeper into the soil, developing into the taproot system. As many of you understand that radicle part from the seed always give the root, and which loves to grow into the dark. And then plumule part will give you the shoot. It will become into a seedling and it goes towards the light. So these are simple fundamentals, and then it will start growing. And hypocotyle elongates from radicle and forms an arc or crook that begins to push up through soil. A brief period often referred to as crook stage. So crook stage also happen. Suppose it looks like this, crook stage. So the seedling will bend, partly bend when it comes out. So this hypocotyle part is very, very important because it pushes the plant or it pushes the seedling outside the soil. A soil surface, at soil surface, hypocotyle straightens and pulls the folded cotyledons out of the soil, a process known as apigeal germination. So in cotton we find apigeal germination, where cotyledons come out from the soil during the process of field emergence. So after cotyledons are pulled through the soil surface, they unfold and expose the epicotyle and apical meristem or growing point, which will be the source of subsequent growth. At this point, germination and seedling emergence are complete and plant begins its active vegetative growth. Active vegetative growth means it will start branching, produce primary branches, secondary branches, or sometimes even tertiary branches, and each branch will carry certain number of leaves. Now you can see this germination and seedling emergence. First you see the seed start germinating. The first picture A, the seed starts germinating and radicle comes out. So you can see radicle is coming out first in B. In C, hypocotyle elongates to form crook stage. So you can see this hypocotyle, this is crook stage, crook, C. In D, you see folded cotyledons out of soil surface. So these cotyledons are out of surface and they are folded. They are not fully open. Then E, cotyledons unfolds or they open. Now they are fully open, these cotyledons. And then in F picture, you see plant begins vegetative growth and first true leaf appears. So you can see here the first true leaf appears here. So this is how germination and field emergence happens in case of cotton crop. Now you can see the cotyledons and apical meristem part. Here you will have apical meristem part which will be responsible for further growth, and you can see clearly the region apical meristem here. So it will be responsible for increase in height or other features of this crop, and these are cotyledons. So this one cotyledon and this one also cotyledon. So cotyledons are storage organs and formed in seed and emerge from soil as leaf-like structure. So initially they are source of food or energy to the growing seedling, provide nutrients for seedling, and apical meristem emerges through cotyledons. So it passes through cotyledons in between these two cotyledons and source of new growth as plant grows. First true leaf emerges about 7 days after seedling establishment. This point is very, very important, that first true leaves comes 7 days after seedling establishment. So on the left side you can see the picture. These are two cotyledons, 1 and 2, and in between these two there was apex region. Here you will get first true leaf 7 days after establishment of the seedling. From this point on, meristem will produce all vegetative and reproductive structures on plant. So this meristem particularly is very, very important for further growth of the seedling and plant. Now second phase is leaf area and canopy development. Naturally plant will start forming leaf very quickly at a speed, and then there will be formation of canopy also. So this is known as leaf area and canopy development stage of this crop. So leaves that arise directly from main stem are main stem leaves. So certain stems will also have leaves directly, while that arise from fruiting branches are subtending leaves. So they are called as subtending leaves on the fruiting branches. A fruiting bud called a square begins to form at initiation of fruiting branch. So naturally these squares will be formed on the fruiting branches which are called as sympodial. So you see this picture on the right side. This is a stem, you are seeing the stem, and you see the node. This is one node, this is another node, this is nodal part, and in between two nodes you find internode. This node, and you see internode. And then suppose this is fruiting branch, this is fruiting branch, this is petiole of the leaf, and this is the leaf blade or main leaf. And you see this at fruiting branch, you are seeing the subtending leaf. So these subtending leaves are there on the fruiting branch, and you also see a square. This is a square called as a square, which is a floral bud, and it will result in flower and ultimately boughs. So this is clear-cut picture showing you the formation of the leaves and fruiting branches. Branches can be either vegetative monopodia or fruiting branches sympodial. Vegetative branches like main stem are monopodia, meaning single food, since they have only one meristem. So there is no branching in them. Because vegetative branches have only one meristem, they grow straight and erect, much like main stem. So one can easily distinguish between the fruiting branches and vegetative branches. So branches from which fruiting buds arise are called as fruiting branches or sympodial, meaning multiple feet. Each fruiting branch contains multiple meristem. So you can have smaller branching in these. Fruiting branches have a zigzag growth. This point is very, very important. However, vegetative branches have a straight growth. Here, sympodial branches will have a zigzag growth as opposed to straight growth of vegetative branches. Initial growth of fruiting branch is terminated once a fruiting bud forms. The fruiting branch, however, initiates a new growing point called an axillary meristem. The axillary meristem is located at the base of a leaf that subtends the newly formed fruiting bud. The zigzag growth habit is a consequence of the stop and go growth of the fruiting branch. Now you can see very clearly about the details of leaf area and canopy development. See the picture on the left side, straight growth habit of main stem and vegetative branch, leaves removed here. So you can see this is the stem, you see the yellow arrow, it is showing the main stem of the cotton plant, this one, and then it is giving you branching, suppose on the right side. So it is a straight branch, it is a straight branch, therefore it is vegetative branch and it is monopodial branch. And on the right side you see this is about the fruiting branch, leaves removed here and shows its zigzag growth habit. So this is the main stem, you can see here, and from the main stem you have this sympodial branch and it is zigzag. You see it goes like this, it goes like this, goes like. But the monopodial branch is straight. So hope you could follow the meaning of monopodial and sympodial branches. During 21-day period from square formation to blooming, blooming here means flowering, several development stages of flower bud occur, starting from a pinhead square. Initially it will be very, very minor square, first stage at which square can be identified. Next stage of square growth is match head. Match heads, you must have seen the matchstick and you have seen the head of the matchstick, it is very small. So that is called as match head stage or 1/3 grown square. Just prior to time the flower opens, a candle shape can be seen. This is square development prior to bloom, called as squiring. Now you can see very clearly this picture and development of a square into a white bloom or into a flower. So you can see different stages. So here pinhead square to white bloom stages of flowering. So first one A is your pinhead square, very small square or floral bud, and then match head square. This is to the match head square and then it increases square growth midpoint. This is the midpoint and then finally you see candle shape. This is candle shape square here and you can see the calyx are also attached here. And then you see white bloom, the flower has come out. So it clearly shows how flowering happens in this particular crop. Once cotton begins to bloom or flower, it is in flowering. Plant typically blooms or flowers for about 6 weeks. So it takes about 1.5 months continuously for flowering. And here also you will find vegetative growth as well. So square is a flower bud. First visible structure of square are the leaf-like bracts or apicalyx. These are called as apicalyx. 3 bracts surround flower bud in pyramid-like shape. Cotton flowers are perfect flower. Perfect flowers means it has both sex organs, males and females. For males, you can have stamens. For female, you can have gynoecium. And this gynoecium can have pistil. Similarly, stamen can have anthers. So cotton flowers are perfect flower, means contains both male and female sex organs. First square is typically visible on node 5 to 7 about 35 days after planting. Anthesis. Anthesis is actually opening of the flower or flower bloom occurs approximately 21 days after the first square formation. You have already seen such kind of different stages in the picture that was shown to you. When a pollen grain reaches stigma, it germinates into a pollen tube and fertilization takes place. Now you can see the parts of a mature cotton flower. Initially the petal color here is creamy white. It can have some other colors also. And now you see the bracts. These are the bracts here, bracts. And then ovule in seed, you got, these are the ovules. They form the seed. And then ovary. This part is ovary. And anthers are there. Anthers, this is anther, and they are borne on stamen. And this is filament part. So you can see simply this is anther, and anther, A-N-T-H-E-R, anther, and this is filament, M-E-N-T, filament. So completely this one is called as stamen. And you can also see style. This gynoecium has three parts. This one and this, it is like this. So this is ovary, and the middle part is style, and the upper part is stigma, S-T-I-G-M-A. Hope you could follow the picture of complete picture of the cotton flower. Now on the second day, flower will have a pink like color. So initially it was white in color, but now it will have pink or red kind of color, and red color on the third day. So second day pink, and third day it will have red color. Approximately 5 to 7 days after a flower appears, it usually dries and falls from plant, exposing the developing ball. Occasionally a flower will stay attached to the developing ball for a longer period of time. This is referred as bloom tag, B-L-O-O-M, bloom tag, T-A-G, tag. Now you can see very quickly this picture on the left side, and what is happening during day 1 to day 5 to 7 of flowering. So development of a cotton bloom. White flower emerges on day 1. So you can see here day 1, this is white flower, and it has emerged from the square. Number 1 is then takes the red color on days 2, 3, 4 after emergence. So you can see here B and C, the color change is there, pinkish light pink color, dark pink or red color on the 3rd or 4th day, and then you can see the bloom dries up and falls off or becomes a bloom tag. So here you are seeing that the petals are drying up and they may fall from the ball. Now ball development and maturation. Number 4 stage of cotton crop. After pollination, ball begins to develop. It requires about 50 days for a ball to open after pollination. So you can remember that after pollination, it will require about 50 days to mature. This ball maturation will happen after 50 days of pollination. Ball development can be characterized by 3 phases: enlargement, filling and maturation. So you can say this ball development phase can be subdivided into 3 stages: enlargement, filling and maturation. The enlargement phase of ball development lasts approximately 3 weeks or 21 days. During this time, the fibers produced on the seed are elongating and the maximum volume of the ball and seeds contained therein are attained. Also during this time, the fiber is basically a thin-walled tubular structure similar to the stra, and as you might be knowing that these are actually single-celled structure and they are mostly having cellulose. Each fiber develops from a single epidermal cell on the seed coat. During the ball enlargement and fiber elongation phase, the development of the fiber is very sensitive to adverse environmental conditions. So here it is important to maintain right moisture and as far as possible, and one can manipulate the temperature conditions also. So low water availability and extremes in temperature and nutrient deficiencies can reduce the final fiber length. So it is important to keep all the abiotic factors in control and also the biotic factors in control so that one can produce good quality fiber, means sufficient length of the fiber. Filling phase of ball development begins during the 4th week after flowering. At this time, fiber elongation ceases and secondary wall formation of the fiber begins. This process is also known as fiber filling or deposition of the fiber. Cellulose is deposited inside the elongated fiber every 24 hours and filling the void space of the elongated fiber. Here void space means free space or unfilled space is filled. Filling continues into the 6th week after pollination. Ball maturation begins as it reaches full size and maximum weight. Fiber and seed maturation takes place and ball dehiscence occurs. Capsule walls of ball dry, causing cells adjacent to the dorsal suture to shrink unevenly. This shrinking causes suture between carpal walls to split, and finally you can see ball opens. Now you can see what are the different phases. Here it is formation of the ball, development of the ball. It is increasing in size. These are balls. And then you can see it started splitting. It is almost completely mature, and finally it can split open like this. Now you have seen the different growth phases and stages of cotton crop. These are really very important to understand for a producer, so that certain inputs can be used judiciously and the growth can be manipulated in favor of better yield and better quality. Now let us see what are the growing season of this crop in the country. So cotton growing seasons in different parts of India vary depending upon the climatic conditions and irrigation facilities available. Crop sowing is adjusted based on rainfall, temperature and soil type. In order that crop faces minimal abiotic stress, flowering and fruiting occurs when maximum temperature ranges between 29 to 39 degrees centigrade and minimum temperature is 19 to 24 degrees centigrade. So keeping all these kind of factors in mind, we can grow the cotton crop in different seasons. Crop is sown and harvested throughout the year at one place or the other in the country. This has become possible due to the development of thermo and photo insensitive cultivars, means the variety which are not influenced by the day length or by the temperature up to some extent. So those kind of varieties are tolerable to the temperature as well as photo period. The growing seasons in different regions are discussed in next slides. So now you can see what are important growing seasons in different parts of the country. Punjab and Haryana, it is grown during mid-April to mid-May is the sowing time, and September end to mid-November is the harvesting time. In Rajasthan, April first week to May first week is the sowing time, and picking or harvesting time is September 15 to November 15. Rajasthan, another season is mid-April to end of May, and October 15 to December 15 is there. So in these cases, you can see the late sowing of wheat can be done, or another kind of short duration crop can be taken after harvest of the cotton. In Haryana and Punjab, farmers mostly prefer cotton wheat rotation. They take wheat crop after cotton crop. Gujarat, first week of June can be sowing time, and then November to February picking time. June last week to July first week, and then January to February. June last week to July first week, and then November to March. So these are the seasons in Gujarat. In Madhya Pradesh, middle of May to October or February or March, and then in Madhya Pradesh, end of June to October to December. In Maharashtra, 15th March to 15 April, August to October, and 15 May to 25 May to January, February. The onset of monsoon till 15 July in Maharashtra up to October, February. And then coming to Karnataka, July, September is the sowing time, and March, April is the harvesting time. And then May to 15 July, January, February harvesting time, May to 15 July, January, February harvesting time. So you are visualizing that it is being grown throughout the year in one part of the country or the other part of the country. Let us check for Andhra Pradesh, mid-June to December, January, first fortnight of August to February, March. Telangana, June, July and January, February is the picking time. Tamil Nadu, first week of August to February, March. It can be sown in February also, and July, September to February, March. So you are seeing that the area of India which are almost tropical. In those areas, there is hardly any restriction to grow this crop. It can be grown throughout the year. However, in subtropical areas, it is grown mainly from April to say October, November. Now coming to the sowing time, next aspect, sowing earlier or later than optimum time results in imbalanced apportioning of assimilates into vegetative and reproductive parts, resulting in low yields. So definitely right time of sowing is very, very important to increase the resource use efficiency and also to prevent the crop from certain biotic and abiotic stresses. So late sown crop also suffers due to a higher incidence of early season sucking pest and pink bollworm during the ball formation. Means if you are doing sowing of the crop late, then you can have more invasion or infestation of the bollworm in the cotton crop and damage to the crop can be increased. In rain-fed areas, proper time of sowing is crucial to make full and efficient use of the water available during the rainy season. So under rain-fed areas, we need to manipulate or adjust the sowing time based upon the rainfall so that we can make best use of available soil moisture. The second fortnight of April to first fortnight of May is the optimum time for sowing irrigated cotton in entire north zone, April to the first fortnight of May. If you delay it, the crop growth will be adversely affected. The exact time depends on the field getting ready after the harvest of preceding wheat crop. In the central zone, recommended sowing period for irrigated areas of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh is mid-May, middle of May. The second fortnight of March is the optimum time for Deccan Canal Tract of Maharashtra. Fortnight means 15 days. For rain-fed cotton, the last week of June is the optimum period in Vidarbha and Khandesh region of Maharashtra and the Adilabad region of Andhra Pradesh. So here you can go up to last week of June. Sowing is commonly done in the second fortnight of June in Gujarat. Second fortnight of June means 16 to 30th June and Marathwada region of Maharashtra coinciding with the onset of monsoon. Then there will not be shortage of water. In the south zone, second fortnight of April to the first fortnight of May and second fortnight of July to the first fortnight of August is recommended for sowing in the Ghat Prabha and Tungabhadra tracts of Karnataka respectively. Winter and summer irrigated cotton of Tamil Nadu are sown during August and February respectively. Rain-fed cotton in south zone during mid to end of June in Karnataka, second fortnight of July to first fortnight of August in coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh. August-September in drier central districts of Andhra Pradesh and mid-September to first week of October in black soil area of South Tamil Nadu. Currently recommended sowing time is same for the non-GM varieties, hybrids as well as GM cotton varieties and hybrid. So we know that these days we are having almost all the area under GM cotton in India and we have GM hybrids. However, there is hardly any difference in recommended time of sowing whether it is GM or non-GM cotton. So now we go to the field preparation and tillage system in cotton crop. So traditionally a bullock-drawn plough was employed for cultivation in the country. The development of moldboard plough that goes deeper into the soil and disc plough led to intensive tillage and these were recommended for the cotton owing to its deep root system. Pre-plant tillage operations depend on region, level of mechanization, soil type and the time available after the harvest of the previous crop. In the north, where cotton wheat double cropping system is followed, there is little time available for land preparation. Following the harvest of wheat or mustard, the field is irrigated after the harvest of wheat and ploughed. A light irrigation is given and the field is prepared by disking twice, followed by 2 cultivator passes and planking. So in northern parts, most of the time the cotton is taken after harvest of the crop and plowing is done and then the field is labeled for sowing of the cotton. In central zone, cotton cultivation is predominantly rain-fed. Tillage starts with odd pre-monsoon shower and most often with onset of rains. In southern red soil region, field is given 2 to 3 light plowing after harvest of the previous crop. Intensive tillage operations are energy consuming, accelerate soil erosion and loss of soil organic carbon and nutrients. Consequently, conservation tillage systems have evolved. So, it is important to change the conventional system of tillage where heavy operations are done, particularly plowing, etc. So, to overcome these problems, because they have certain issues like soil erosion, etc., we need to find out some alternative, and conservation tillage is an option under which we reduce the tillage. So, conservation tillage systems became acceptable only after availability of selective herbicide. Now, many selective herbicides are available and conservation tillage can be adopted. It is a low residue producing crop, and conservation tillage increases residue remaining after the harvest. So, retention of residues increases available soil water by increased infiltration and reduced evaporation. This has great value in rain-fed situations where the crop depends on rainfall. Even some farmers are trying zero tillage also or reduced tillage, where they also combined with the mulching and crop rotations. So, in conservation tillage or conservation agriculture, we need to take 3 important principles. One is rotation, rotating the crop. Second is reduced tillage or zero tillage or minimum tillage. And third is mulching. So, mulching is important because it protects the soil and it also conserves the water and reduces evaporation of water. In rain-fed regions of central India, conservation tillage systems such as reduced tillage have been found to be equal or better than the conventional tillage. It also saves energy, it also saves money of the farmer. In the irrigated cotton wheat sequence of North India, the productivity of system was higher with reduced tillage, say 23 to 39% productivity of cotton was higher over the than the no tillage system. Yield improvement with reduced tillage systems could be due to either or combination of a factor. Let us see why these reduced tillage systems are useful. Better weed control and reduce competition. This is important. Reduce competition to natural resources. Conserved soil moisture, because in this case you have to put some mulching, and mulching will reduce evaporation, and of course then you will get the water conserved in the soil. Improvement in soil physical and chemical properties is also there, because finally these residue will be added into the soil. So, the physical and chemical properties will also improve, and also in conventional tillage you need to do lot of plowing, and therefore soil structure is broken down. Here you are going for minimum tillage or least tillage or reduced tillage, then the soil structure is maintained. A prerequisite for conservation tillage is to leave 30% residue cover on the soil surface. This point is very, very important for a student, that you need to have about 30% soil area covered by the residues. Now, going to the seed rate and spacing and plant population of cotton crop. Crop geometry is known as spatial arrangement, and plant density influence cotton yield. Population and crop geometry depend upon plant type, soil conditions and moisture availability. All these factors will affect the population and density and spacing also. Generally speaking, if you have good soil conditions, higher fertility of the soil, and it has good soil structure, then we can slightly increase the spacing. And similarly, moisture availability, if we have too little moisture or less moisture, rain-fed conditions, then we can have less plant population. Highly branched monopodial types need more space than short, compact, non-branching sympodial types. So, optimum seed rate is 12 to 15 kg for hirsutum, 8 to 12 kg for arboreum and barbadans, arboreum and herbaceum, and 2 to 4 kg for hybrids. So, you can see here for hybrids the seed rate is 2 to 4 kilograms per hectare. In general, a spacing of 60 centimeter by 30 centimeter with a plant population of 55,600 is recommended for the Gossypium hirsutum varieties or American cotton varieties. 60 centimeter by 30 centimeter means row to row distance has to be 60 centimeter and plant to plant distance within a row has to be 30 centimeter. For Desi variety, we need to reduce the spacing 60 centimeter by 15 centimeter followed and sowing done by drilling. For hybrids cultivated in rain-fed areas, a row to row spacing of 90 centimeter and hill spacing of 45 to 60 centimeter is practiced. Means plant to plant spacing is 45 to 60 centimeter and row to row spacing is 90 centimeter. In irrigated areas, a wider inter-row spacing of 120 to 150 centimeter and intra-row spacing of 60 centimeter is recommended. Several state agricultural universities have recommended different spacing and seed rates depending upon the local agroecological situation. So, for plant spacing or geometry, there are number of variables which affect the values. Some recommendations you can see on the next slide. So, you can see for Rajasthan, Gossypium arboreum seed rate is 10 kg and spacing is 67.5 into 30 centimeter. For Gossypium hirsutum seed rate is 16 kilogram, spacing same spacings 67.5 into 30. But for hybrids, you see seed rate is just 4 kg and spacing is 67.5 into 60 centimeter for hybrids in Rajasthan. In Punjab, you can see spacing is for Gossypium arboreum 67.5 into 45, hirsutum 67.5 into 60 and for hybrid it is little more 67.5 into 75. In Haryana, the seed rate of Gossypium arboreum is 15 to 20, hirsutum 10 to 12 kg and hybrids less, that is 3 to 5 kg. And spacing for both arboreum and hirsutum is 67.5 into 30, 67.5 into 30. For hybrid it is more 100 centimeter by 40 centimeter. Similarly, for Gujarat, for different kind of species, you can see the seed rates and spacings. Seed rate, for example, for herbaceum 8 to 10 kg, for herbaceum closed bole and semi-open bole kind of condition 15 to 20, spacing is 120 into 30 centimeter and so forth. So, you can see different row spacings and seed rate under different situation. For Maharashtra, you can see under different soil conditions also. For example, irrigated hybrid condition, heavy soil 150 into 90 centimeter, but for medium soil you need to reduce the spacing, say 120 into 60 centimeter and so on. Similarly, for Tamil Nadu, you can see hirsutum 75 into 30, arboreum 45 into 15 and so forth. And Karnataka, mostly you can see 60 by 30, 90 by 20. So, for different conditions, you have different row spacings for different years. Now, finally, we discuss about the planting methods. Sowing cotton with a seed drill is a common practice in northern state. Seed drills work well in sandy loam or loamy soils. Hand dibbling is also possible and you can put 2 to 3 seeds in a place and after leveling the field, a wooden marker or specified spacing is done crosswise field and later seeds are dibbled at intersection points. So, dibbling is another option and sowing of hybrid should be done and mostly done by dibbling. Wherever crust formation is problem, this is dibbled along with the seed or pulse or castor or sunhemp to facilitate the emergence and later the extra plant is clipped off. Rain-fed cotton usually suffers from moisture stress during the bole development. This moisture stress can be overcome by early sowing. Crowbar method of planting and transplanting of seedling raised in polybags give higher yields. It is also recommended to raise seedlings in nursery using trays and gap filling should be done within 10 days of sowing. Means you can raise seedlings and gap filling can be done to maintain the right population. Dear students, hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much.